Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, we're going to take a look at adventure into fear with The Man-Thing, number 19. This was from, what year was that? 1974? I've forgotten now. It's 1973. Yeah. So this was technically a horror book, but the stories had kind of moved away a little bit from horror. It was just weird stuff going on with Man-Thing. And was written by Steve Gerber and drawn by Val Mayeric, with this great dynamic cover drawn by Gil Kane, and I don't know who the inker was. It doesn't look like Kane inked it himself. And it is The Land Between Night and Day, which is not even the title of the story. But it's very much in the sword and sorcery vein, because remember, sword and sorcery stuff, Conan the Barbarian was very popular at that time, and they slipped some of that into Man-Thing. Steve Gerber did, and he always had a little bit of commentary in his stories. Not always, but primarily, like with some of the names, like construction company, F.A. Schist Company, fascist is what it spells, and stuff like that. And this is obviously, this character is Korak is obviously intended to be a Conan the Barbarian ripoff. He is a prince, and this was at the time when Man-Thing was first kind of becoming the guardian of the gateway to the nexus of realities that was in the Florida Everglades. So let's have a look within the pages of this Man-Thing story. Okay, here you see the art. Val Mayeric, The Enchanter's Apprentice. And here we see Steve. Did I say Steve Gerber? That's what it is, Steve Gerber, if I said it wrong. And with Sal Trapani as the inker. And here we can see right off the bat, Swamp Thing, but he's someplace that looks like it belongs in Doctor Strange. Some weird ethereal other world. Oh yeah, I want to, because you can see this is kind of rough. And whoever originally got this punched holes in it to put it in a binder. I hate that, but it doesn't really damage anything as far as reading is concerned. So here we see on the plain beneath this castle, hovering above the plain, we see soldiers. These look like World War II era American soldiers, and we see a bunch of barbarians. You see the Swamp Thing, Man-Thing, just observing, these biplanes and some other little odd-looking ships, some futuristic stuff, and engaging in a huge battle on the plain. There are beings from all kinds of realities at this nexus that converge. It's basically the kind of beginning of the multiverse for Marvel, and Here then, this light bridge comes down from the castle to the feet of the Swamp Thing. And this lovely young lady, scantily clad, lovely blonde lady, comes walking down and gets the Swamp Thing and bring him up to the castle. Well, and here we're introduced to Korak and his other barbarians. And say, oh, taking the monster. That's the sorceress, the witch. She's behind all this. And him and his men chase up the light bridge as it begins to dissolve behind them, and all his people fall to the ground. But he gets to the steps of the floating island, and goes to Swamp Thing intercedes, and he's a Man Thing. I keep saying Swamp Thing. Man Thing intercedes, and he just goes right through the Man Thing's ooze. It's like there's almost no substance there at all. He's about to kill the lady when she screams and wakes up. What? There she is. She's screaming, waking up in her room. Her uncle and her little brother come busting in, seeing what's going on. Oh, I had the terrible dream again. And these characters had been from earlier issues. And apparently this uncle had actually been there. And he is some kind of occultic expert. And he calms her, gets her to go back to sleep, while the boy has gone to the kitchen making him a peanut butter sandwiches. What are you doing that? You're not going to sleep very well. Says, no, it's because my sister's screaming and her nightmares. It's going to keep me up. So he gets him to go to bed. He leaves the peanut butter jar and the knife sitting there, and then the knife begins to glow. And then we have another double page ad. The knife glows and transforms into a sword, and then the peanut butter oozes out of the jar and forms Korak with his sword, and he knows, this is where, he doesn't know how he got there or where he is, but he knows this is where that sorceress is, and he goes racing up the stairs, and somehow knows how to go right to her room, smashes in the door, and tries to kill her again. She rolls off the bed. Uncle and brother come rushing in. So what the heck is going on? Well, Korak thinks they're all wizards. So I can take one, maybe two, but I can't deal with three at once. Of course, they're just people. He had sliced them all. Smashes through the window and takes off. Meanwhile, what the heck is going on? Who was that guy? And then they go, oh, I know. And they turn around, and it's a wizard by the name of Dakim. And says, oh, crap. She remembers him. The girl, I've forgotten her name. Caroline? I've forgotten her name. Says, he's the one that was in my dreams. And that is an awkward... Here. This is an awkward hand. I mean, the art storytelling is all great, but that is a really awkward hand pointing. My opinion, he should have switched her body so that it's angling this way, and could have done a more naturalistic pointing, because for the composition you needs to go into this panel, and her leaning outward like that doesn't work that well. And so put the hand like that, which leads your eye over here, and but it's an awkward way of doing it, by my estimation. So he says, "Oh yeah," and he says, "Oh, you've got talent. You've got magical potential, and I want you to be my apprentice. You'll learn all this blah 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 blah." And then he describes where he lives at this nexus of reality. He says something is happening. There's some power out there forcing these realities to merge, and we see where you can have beasts who talk and walk like men. You got barbarians. You got advanced civilizations. All kinds of weird stuff going on all at once. Got demon worlds. And he goes, it's horrifying. But why have you come to me? He said, oh, because you have great potential and knowledge. And here we have an early ad for master of Kung Fu, his first appearance. So here we are. She decides to go with the sorcerer, with Kadim, and so she goes off and then goes, I hope she comes back sometime. And okay, the boy says, okay, I'm impressed. Meanwhile, Korak, he has gone out into the swampland because they live in Florida somewhere. Must be in the Everglades. And he is suddenly depressed because he's up against forces he cannot comprehend. His sword seems to have it doesn't help him at all. And then there's the man thing, because he has sensed his presence and approached him. Oh, great. Says, Zoc, the demon thing. So grabs his sword and he goes to town, whanging away at Man Thing, and his sword just passes right through his oozy body. Oh, crap. So he sits down again and says, I suppose you'll slay me now. Of course, Man Thing doesn't care. And meanwhile, then while they're talking, out of the swamp comes Howard the Duck. What? Howard? What's Howard doing here? Yes, this is the introduction of Howard the Duck. They don't here in this issue. He's not even named yet, and he just walks out and he says, "Climb up! Don't be such a crybaby," and complains about all the hairless apes. And then we're back at the Nexus, and the wizard is talking again, telling the girl, and he's about stuff, and consulting some great tome. When suddenly a rocket smashes through the wall, and oh my gosh, it's a bomb! Boom! It explodes. Kablooey, kablooey, kablooey. She's pinned under rubble. The wizard is gone, and the soldiers and barbarians both come crashing in because they finally got up there on balloons, apparently, while no one was watching. And they're looking for. They make her a prisoner, and they're looking for the wizard. They get her on the balloon, and says, I don't believe it. Says, at least tell me where you're taking me and why I'm entitled to that. Very well, we're taking you to our Congress, which is our group of whatever, to die. Now, did that put your mind at ease? I said, no. And it goes, Dakim, you have abandoned me. Meanwhile, in the swamp, they're slogging through the swamp. We got to go somewhere. We've got to find our way back. Then they hear screams, quack, quack, and they're over there at the construction site that was being constructed right here at the gateway to the Nexus. Is the workmen are being attacked by what appeared to be demons. Said, behold, my brothers, the one we have come to destroy has arrived, the being spawned by the swamp's mystic forces. And then they all converge on Swamp Thing. Dun, dun, dun! The battle for the palace of the gods. Next time. And part of that I covered before when I did Howard the Duck. I showed part of that battle because it was the first Howard the Duck story. And you see, it's not scary. It's not. It's horror, but it's not horror just because of the Man Thing. And as usual, the Man Thing does very little. He just kind of walks through, goes through some plot going on, and leaves it at that. And the events and characters move around him, but he is like himself, like a nexus of the events. So it's fun reading because it is kind of parody. It is kind of a horror, sword and sorcery, fantasy thing. I don't know what else you could call it, just a fantasy thing. But it is fun reading, and it is quite interesting simply for the fact of now Korak keeps coming back. Eventually, Howard spins off into his own title. First as a backup story in these stories, and then, of course, his own title just a few issues later. but it is early Man Thing stuff. And remember, the Howard the Duck being spawned in Man Thing was the main reason that Steve Gerber and Marvel parted company, and he had a lot of lawsuits against Marvel for many years. And he is gone now, and he never won. And now, Howard the Duck and Man Thing both are owned by Disney. Well, that's all. That's all I've got for you. Are you a Man Thing fan? Let me know. Do you like the story? I love this cover. I love this cover. I enjoy Man Thing. I'm not a big fan by any means. Same thing goes for Swamp Thing, which I keep accidentally calling him. And but it is some fun and interesting reading, especially this early stuff. So tell me what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments below about Man Thing, about Howard the Duck, about Korek, or how much do you like this cover? And remember, comics are art!